QPR's 2-2 draw with Norwich City yesterday afternoon saw the R's edge 1 point closer to championship safety. We led the game 1-0, we went 2-1 down, we saw the home debut of all 4 new January recruits, and we got to witness Mickey Frey level it up for his first goal in front of the loft. This was a rollercoaster of a match, so let's talk through it. And if you like what you see in this video, please consider liking and subscribing, it really helps the channel out. Now, it doesn't feel like there's been very many quiet days for Rangers lately. After last weekend's historic win away at Blackburn Rovers, QPR began the week by announcing our 4th and final January acquisition, Lucas Andersen, who joins on a free from Aalborg. And despite picking up just 1 win in 4 in January, we were heading into this weekend free unbeaten. Despite the lack of wins, those 7 points have kept us well in the mix, meaning every match at the moment seems to be an opportunity to climb out of the relegation zone should results go our way. 9th place Norwich City, however, posed a much bigger challenge than the rest of our opponents in 2024 so far. Very much in form, having won 3 of their past 4 matches, and sitting just 1 point outside of the playoff places heading into this fixture. That for me set this up as a fresh opportunity to see just how far Marty Cifuentes' side has come. We've all seen the performances improving, we've seen the numbers since he's joined the club, but the calibre of Norwich City would mean that we'd need to be firing on all cylinders to come away with something from this match. So I was very pleased to see our starting 11, with Hayden and Hodge both in for their first full starts for the club following impressive cameo appearances last weekend. And look at that glorious bench. For once, some actual depth, with the very welcome additions of both Andersen and Frey. Now, it was unsurprisingly a frantic opening few minutes. First with Cannon, Willock and Hodge combining to try and play themselves out of an intense Norwich press, which soon collapsed with a lax backheel from Jack Colback gifting the ball to Norwich, with Sargent's resulting shot guided out for a corner by Steve Cook, which Signs would go on to shoot wide from outside of the box. But after that erratic opening, we settled into the game very well, and our new boys quickly started to show what they can do. Isaac Hayden just oozes Premier League class, with his excellent reading of the game producing some very well timed blocks to break up the Norwich attack, and Joe Hodge would nearly profit very nicely from one of Isaac Hayden's blocks, taking just 2 touches before deciding to release a rocket of a shot from 35 yards out that looked destined for the top left corner until it just wrapped around the post. 2 very different players, but they both share a real quality of decisiveness on the ball. Hayden's presence in midfield alongside Colback means that our frustrating inability to play out of the back that has become a bit of a staple in the last few home matches practically disappeared for most of this match. And although Hodge faded from the match at times, he heads straight for goal with as little complication as possible. Something that, although very hard working yesterday, Elias Chair could do a lot to learn from. Armstrong's pace and power won us a free kick down the left just 2 minutes later. Frustratingly, probably the only set piece we really took advantage of yesterday, with a dangerous Chair ball to the back post nearly stabbed into the back of the net by Chris Willock. Norwich would continue to pose a threat though, capitalising on some occasional complacency from QPR, with both Gabriel Sara's free kick and Signs' effort outside the box just off target. Despite a pretty even opening quarter of the game, it was QPR that would open the scoring on 27 minutes. The move starting with Sinclair Armstrong heading down Cannon's ball from the back into the path of Elias Chair, who drifted over to the right hand side. Having been kept pretty quiet on his natural left, he laid the ball off to Chris Willock, who pumped what looked to be a pretty innocuous floating cross into the box, but it was one that Norwich keeper Gunn would severely misread, poorly spilling the ball out into the centre of the box, into the path of the late arriving Jack Colback, who calmly guided the ball into the bottom left hand corner. QPR 1, Norwich 0. That lead, of course, would see the Canaries step up their game though, and I have to say, this is a very well organised side. QPR wouldn't have another effort for the rest of this half, and although we managed to preserve our lead up to half time, you could see Norwich going through the gears. Their passing got sharper, the moves got quicker, and the momentum was building. This is a team that can do you damage, they clearly all know their roles, and they have players of real quality in midfield and attack. And although we kept compact, with Jake Clark-Salter winning virtually every header in the first half, and Cannon producing probably his best defensive half of his Rangers career so far, I was still very relieved when the ref blew his whistle for half time. Now, Marty would opt to keep our team the same for the second half, but strangely we seemed to shift to more of a back three with Powell being shifted up the pitch a bit. And this was something that did weaken us defensively, and as a result it would take David Wagner's side just 2 minutes to find the equaliser. Frustratingly, it started from a very soft free kick, which in turn resulted in Reggie Cannon having to turn the ball out for a corner, and Gabriel Sara would rattle the ball low and fast across the box, with James McLean fading away from the back post and into the centre to meet it, slotting it through a packed out box and just out of the grasp of Begovic. Annoying to concede so early into the half after defending really well in the first, but it was a very well worked set piece from Norwich, who clearly done their homework on us with some similarities to Jake Livermore's double for Watford. And this is what I meant about them being a very well drilled side, because they had plenty of these set pieces on offer yesterday. And you could see that this goal was something that comes straight off of the training ground. That's something I'd really love us to learn from, because despite a positive performance yesterday, we were so wasteful from set pieces. And the away side, now buoyed by their leveller, started to dictate the tempo of this game much more. I was impressed by Sarah and Sainz, who started to find gaps in the midfield that just weren't there in the first 45. And although we did have a number of half chances from the likes of Powell, Willock and Hayden, it was Norwich who had taken control. And after top scorer Jonathan Rowe was introduced to the match, they would take the lead just 4 minutes later. Rowe laid the ball off to Jackson on the wing, who sent a dangerous ball into the box, and Sargent rose high in the centre, heading into the net on the 62nd minute. Now this one was more frustrating for me, because after winning every header in that first half, none of our players even got off the ground for this one. A very intelligent late arrival and finish by Josh Sargent with his 7th goal in 13 appearances, but this was also very poor defending. So 4 minutes later, just like against Blackburn last week, Marty opted for the triple substitution, replacing Hodge, Willock and Armstrong with new boys Andersen and Frey, as well as Paul Smith. And our new additions, as well as a questionable double sub from David Wagner, who opted to replace their second goal scorer, as well as putting on a midfielder for right back Jack Stacey, really changed the game. Andersen instantly looks to be the creative midfield link that we've been missing, drifting all across the front third, at one point shifting over to the right to 1-2 the ball with Cannon, who laid the ball off to Hayden, who crossed it into the box for Mickey Frey, and his instinctive glancing header would go just wide of the post. It's easy to say after the fact, but Frey's movement in the box just looks like a natural goal scorer. And from the 66th minute until the 77th, it was now all QPR really. And although Paul Smith didn't directly contribute to the equaliser, it was his hassling of Norwich's left back which forced a throw in from nothing. Paul Smith took the throw short to Andersen, who casually took the ball down and took the time to tee himself up for the most casually excellent cross I've seen in a long time, with his sweeping low effort perfectly placed onto the feet of Frey, who coolly guided it into the bottom left corner. The loft erupted and the Swiss marksman pulled out a nice old school celebration. And what a fantastic moment for this new pair on their home debuts, bringing creativity and clinical finishing that we've not seen at Loftus Road in so long. Now I'm not going to compare too much or drag other players, but both Dykes and Armstrong will do very well to learn from this goal. Though in his brief time on the pitch, Frey just looks like he has that natural goal scoring instinct in the box that you just either have or you don't. With 10 minutes of regular time to go, Norwich were not going to give up easily, but like last weekend, Begovic put in a real shift here to preserve the point, blocking Barnes at the near post just 1 minute after our leveller, following James McLean's clever lofted through ball. Both teams would make a flurry of further changes in pursuit of a winner. Dykes on for Hayden and Elijah Dixon-Bodder for Elias Chair. Hayden's brief spell on the deck with an injury may be a warning that we'll need to be a bit more careful with his time on the pitch. I was very surprised to see him nearly play the full 90, but neither team could find the winner. Partly because they've both thrown their all at it, but mainly because the ref insisted on stopping play every 30 seconds. I've deliberately made sure that I've not mentioned Ben Toner too much in this report, but the free kicks he was offering out to Norwich in those closing moments are some of the most biased, suspicious refereeing I've seen in a long time. Still, with the Saturday evening sun bathing Loftus Road in a soft red hue, the whistle blew for full time and the points were shared. What a crazy match that was. Probably for me the most entertaining I've seen at Loftus Road this season. We're very good in spells, our new additions looked really impressive all in their own rights, and look like they're all going to offer something different to this team. Norwich themselves showed why they're up in the playoff mix, perhaps also why they might not quite make those places come the end of the season, but we did go toe to toe with them, something we just wouldn't have done this time last month. And although some may be disappointed that we gave away the lead, this is very much a point gained, with 4 out of the 5 teams directly around us all losing yesterday. Thank you in particular to Southampton for getting their act together against Huddersfield. Those results are especially pleasing given that Blackburn and Huddersfield both look to have had new manager bounces yesterday, and we still managed to make gains, cutting the gap to safety to just 2 points. And with Stoke losing 3-1 to Rovers, meaning they've now won just 2 in their last 17, our trip to the Potters on Wednesday is an absolute must-win. I'm really excited to see these new players get up to full fitness because they really made an impact yesterday, and we're already starting to look a much better side. Who knows if it's going to be enough to get us out of the relegation zone for good, but it doesn't look like we're going to go down with a whimper. Let's hope I don't regret those words on Wednesday night. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of this performance? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. It really, really helps me out. And I'll see you tomorrow for my Stoke City match preview. See you next time. Cheers.